Hello and welcome to Venro's e-learning video on knowledge management in your staff lifecycle, capturing knowledge when staff rotates or leaves and respective knowledge transfer. If you have not listened or watched to our basic video on knowledge management, I highly recommend you to do so now and then come back to this video. The basics on knowledge management and the respective e-learning video gives you the definition and classification and what we actually mean by knowledge and knowledge management. And this will help you to better understand this topic on knowledge management and the staff lifecycle. And it assures that we talk the same language and avoid misunderstanding. So do so and go back to the video on the basics of knowledge management. If you have watched it, then welcome here to this part of knowledge work and knowledge management that is important for organizations and that experience from my side. I am a trainer and consultant on knowledge management for over 10 years now, and experience shows that a lot of organizations of all type of sizes have challenges to capture and transfer the knowledge when staff rotates and leaves. And I will inspire you now and share with you some processes and methods and ways of how to make sure that you capture and transfer the knowledge in a more efficient and structured way. This e-learning video is structured in 3 parts. First of all, I will show you an overview of the staff life cycle and where knowledge is actually related to your staff member and his or her life cycle in your organization. I will briefly mention what a knowledge loss risk assessment is and why that could be something that your management or your team leaders could establish. And I will explain and share with you what knowledge transfer methods and tools and why an expert debriefing and respective knowledge transfer is relevant and useful for an organization. We start with KM, knowledge management in your staff lifecycle. Now, this red arrow is the life cycle of one or basically all of your staff members, and the blue one is your organizational life cycle. The organization exists, and one new staff member enters your team or your organization from outside. Then he or she is completely new, or maybe even internally rotating means that one person leaves one department or one regional office and joins a new team. Then the person might not be completely new. However, he or she rotates and takes a new position. In the case of a complete new staff member or colleague who comes from outside the organization, the very first step that you normally take into consideration and you make sure that you offer this to your new colleague is called the onboarding, expert onboarding in knowledge management terminology, which means that you show and equip the person, the new colleague, with everything he or she needs to understand, to navigate in the organization, the basic equipment for the work he or she needs to do, and the basic understanding of who are we as an organization, how do we work, what are our key processes, organigrams, and processes of the work. The onboarding is the very, very basics on how do we work. It's not all the details on the technical and experiences that you need for the job that you will do or for the position. It's the basics. And the basics normally is part of the human resource department, the recruitment team, and then the basic management and human resource department. However, from the knowledge management perspective, even the onboarding is one area where you could already make clear what is your knowledge management culture. And by onboarding, you could ask questions to this new colleague, like, what experience do you have with for example, Microsoft Teams and collaboration communication in an organization, or maybe on accounting systems. So basically, use the experience treasures, the experience that a new colleague brings, and ask from the beginning also, what experience do you have on specific topics, to find out and to appreciate and show from the beginning that in your organization, the culture when it comes to knowledge is not a one-way journey, but it is the two ways. You as an organization, as a team, you have a lot of experiences and ways how you work, but a newcomer, a new person, is also equipped with a lot of experiences. Now, the staff lifecycle, when the person comes in, there needs to be the knowledge transfer. So I've put here an arrow which called K capturing and K transfer, so knowledge capturing and knowledge transfer. Basically, when the person is completely new and he or she takes over the position of a person that is leaving, you need to make sure that the knowledge is transferred to that new person. And I will show you in the course of this e-learning video some ways of how you could do that. And once the person is part of the team and he or she does the job she needs to do, there is a lot of contact points with knowledge and knowledge work. First of all, you have team meeting and collaboration structures. A lot of knowledge sharing and experience sharing is happening in your regular meetings and teams. Now, most of the time, meetings might be for information sharing and communication, but there is always a little part also of knowledge sharing, learning from each other. And you could actually have a look at your meeting structures and ask yourself the question, how much of our meeting time is dedicated to knowledge work, to experience sharing and learning from each other. And you could further develop your meetings to establish a knowledge sharing culture and learning culture, even in your team meetings and collaboration structures. Documenting the knowledge of a person that is working in your team or in your organization is part of the work. And the sooner you make clear what is your expectation as an employer, as an organization, the better, because a new person, when he or she enters your team, needs to understand and have clarity on what is expected and how much time and much of the resources can be used for knowledge documentation and why. And this is necessary and important, because you might have persons that don't like to document and capture knowledge. However, you might even end up with a new colleague that spends 70% of his or her time to document and prepare knowledge products or manuals that might not even be necessary or useful at the moment. And the time should be used for different activities. So clarity on knowledge work is necessary. And in best case, make it part of the job description, what is expected of this person when it comes to knowledge management. Any person in your organization, in your team, will have access to training and skills development. You might have a budget within your organization for skills development and staff training, or even in your project teams. And this is part of the life cycle of a staff member. And even there, you could analyze and find out how systematic do we actually use the budget and the resources for skills development. Is that a team exercise, or is this individually that each staff member discusses and decides with the respective manager what training in which year will be financed? So there is a lot of knowledge, new knowledge generated, and even knowledge, experience, information from external trainings that enter your organization. You can make sure as a team leader or as management of an organization that the knowledge that is collected and gained via trainings from outside the organization, that they are spread within your organization and that they are not kept individually by your colleagues. Knowledge management and systematic and integrated knowledge management means that you need to have clear objectives and expectations for skills development. Is it organizational learning that you want to foster on one topic? For example, training by the EU delegation on the new evaluation requirements for EU-funded projects, and you send one of your staff members to that training or let him or her participate, it needs to be clear what is the expectation of your colleague going there, participating, what he or she needs to maybe even ask and understand and collect on knowledge, and how should she or he bring it back to your team, and how will you make sure that it is distributed to the other colleagues? How will the other colleagues be informed and can access the knowledge that this one person will collect in that training? These are all questions when it comes to skills development and staff training, but it can be done in an integrated way. Normally, organizations have something called like staff appraisal interviews or regular yearly meetings between the line manager and the colleague, the staff member, where they discuss objectives for each year, they give feedback in both ways, and they discuss what is needed to do the job and review on the job description. You can integrate knowledge work aspects there, experience learning aspects into staff appraisal interviews. If you're interested, there are certain guiding questions that could help you to integrate this into your staff appraisal interviews. And when it comes to management, team leaders, the responsibility is to make sure that the knowledge that is needed to do your work is there. And this means that you need to know if there is a risk that one person accumulates very critical knowledge on a specific topic or procedure or process of your organization. You need to take steps to make sure that this knowledge is not kept by this one person alone, but it is captured or shared with others to minimize the risk that if that person is having health issues or an accident and will not come to the office tomorrow, that you are not ending up in troubles because of the loss of knowledge by one specific person. And if the person leaves your team or your organization, you should do a debriefing, and I will explain to you now why this is important, why a debriefing and a transfer of knowledge is necessary, and how you could do that. Knowledge debriefing, K debriefing, why is it not done by so many organizations? First of all, as long as the knowledge and the experience is available and the staff members are there, the unsecured knowledge does not cause pain. It's there and it's available, so we don't feel the pain. And sometimes knowledge sharing is perceived as a threat to personal uniqueness and as an associated value for a person. So some of your colleagues might think, so will you still need me if you know as much as I do? And this is the power aspect of knowledge and knowledge sharing. And this is part of a culture. Now, the culture is shaped each day by each person in the organization. And even if you have the feeling that your culture is still in that direction, that, well, I want my knowledge and then I have my power, then you could start today by breaking up that box and opening the box and say, we want to live an open and knowledge sharing culture. And in our organization, we take care that the knowledge that is crucial for our success is available for all those that need the knowledge. And we have a learned sharing culture. And you can shape that each day and further develop the culture into that direction. Some organizations do not debrief and capture knowledge and share it when staff leaves or rotates, because in the daily routine, it is sometimes perceived and seen as quite a bureaucratic overhead. It's an add-on. your colleagues already have a lot to do, and especially in a moment in time where you decide to leave an organization or a team, the stress level is quite high, the pressure is high, you need to do your job, you need to finalize and close the projects, the work packages that you are responsible for. So this is an add-on to your productive work, and this is why sometimes it's not happening, because there is no time what's seen as too bureaucratic. And of course, there are established processes like performance reviews where the line manager, the manager meets with the staff. And this is not used for knowledge work, for knowledge capturing. So it's a missed opportunity for some organizations. And of course, it requires a little bit of mastery and facilitation skills to support those processes, to secure and capture knowledge. And in some organizations, the awareness and the skills to facilitate those knowledge debriefing and transfer processes is not there. Now, why should it be done? Why should you at your organization actually do knowledge debriefing, knowledge capturing and transferring it when staff rotates or leaves your team and your organization? First of all, you avoid costs, and caused by the inefficiency and the mistakes that might result from not transferring crucial knowledge from one person to the newcomer in your staff team. The successors, those that take on the job, they become more productive, like in an easier and quicker way. So the efficiency is higher, and people are also more motivated if they equipped with the relevant knowledge and experience from their predecessor. And of course, a knowledge debriefing and a knowledge transfer process when staff rotates or leaves gives you a good chance as organization and as management to redistribute and reshape your processes for a position, for a task, to structure the tasks in a new way, and to learn from the experience of one person that is leaving. And debriefing, transferring the knowledge from one person to a newcomer has quite a lot of benefits to you and to the organizational excellence. It is not for free. As I said, you need to equip persons with the skills and also equip them with time to do so. This needs to be planned, and it's a management task. It's a management task to plan for a knowledge transfer and debriefing. And it is critical to have clear criteria to do so. Lots of organizations leave it to their staff to decide how they transfer the knowledge to the newcomer, how much of their knowledge they share, what exactly they share, and it can be seen as a burden to your colleagues that leave, and you miss the opportunity to understand what knowledge a person has accumulated in a given position. And there is also a risk that the person that leaves your team, your organization, is not sharing all the relevant knowledge and experience that is needed for the new person, because he or she might not be aware that this is relevant. Here is one slide that gives you an overview of an integrated, systematic knowledge debriefing, expert debriefing, or some call it leaving expert debriefing process. First of all, I want to say and highlight that debriefing and knowledge transfer is not only necessary when staff rotates or leaves. For certain positions, you might even have the necessity to transfer and capture knowledge of one person, because the knowledge is so crucial that you cannot risk that it is lost because of unforeseen health issues of a person, etc. So the assessment of the risk and the demand for knowledge capturing and transferring is called the knowledge loss risk assessment. And I will share some guiding questions with you, and if you are interested in this as a management practice, you can contact me. I can inform you a bit more detail on that. But it's a simple assessment that a manager should do, or a team leader should do for his or her team, to find out how high is the risk that a person might leave the team, and how critical is the knowledge that he or she possesses and has in his brains and bodies and hands. Well, the job rotation basically has become normal and regular. I think that is clear. And to not preserve the employees' know-how is really at a certain stage for organizations and companies stupid, because it is a loss of valuable treasures, and also causes high risk to failures or inefficiency when staff rotates or new staff member enters. Now, the knowledge debriefing process, as these purple steps here show, is that first of all, you need to collect and gather all the information around the rotation and the change of staff. Now, the timing, when and how much time do we still have? How long does the recruiting, the finding of a new person take? How much time is the leaving expert still available? How much time is there actually to transfer and capture knowledge? So this is all questions that you need to clarify as a manager. And the knowledge debriefing itself is a process to structure the knowledge that is there, to define what knowledge is crucial for this position. How can we set up a procedure to make sure the knowledge is captured or updated if there is already codified explicit knowledge products available? Are they still up to date? Do we need the leaving expert to update the procedures or the knowledge products? And offer facilitation and all necessary equipment that the leaving expert and the new coming colleague need to transfer the knowledge and learn from each other. So facilitation at a certain point for certain positions might be interesting. This can be internal facilitation or even external facilitation. I have provided, for example, for big networks already numerous expert debriefing sessions as a facilitator, which means that from the info gathering until the transfer plan, the facilitator is coordinating the activities and doing the quality check. When it comes to the knowledge debriefing and transfer, there's a few roles and responsibilities that you find in your organization. First of all, of course, the manager initiates and has the big overview and plan of the debriefing and is responsible for the execution of the debriefing and also the results, the transfer plan. Even if the facilitation is outsourced internally or externally, it is the responsibility of the manager to take care of this process and do a final quality check, because it's in his or her interest that within the team and the group or department, all knowledge necessary is available. A debriefing facilitator, as I said, accompanies the whole process. There is, of course, the leaving employee, the expert that has collected experience and knowledge. He or she provides information in preparing and structuring the knowledge transfer and in the debriefing sessions. Now, what is necessary in the process to debrief and capture knowledge is that you consolidate and structure the knowledge that is available. And one tool that I am sharing with you, and you find an example below this video, it's a knowledge map. A knowledge map is a short map that gives an overview on existing knowledge resources for a certain position. And this map helps the leaving employee to structure his or her knowledge sources and resources, and it also helps the incoming employee, the successor, to get an overview, to know the main areas and to be able to ask questions and request for information and prepare for the debriefing sessions and the transfer sessions. The debriefing sessions, the transfers can be meetings, it can be videos that you produce to collect and capture the knowledge, or it can be updating checklists and manuals and explaining them to the new person. So this depends on the activity and the position. However, a very short transfer plan should capture and coordinate this whole knowledge transfer to make sure that the quality is there. And this action tracking is in the responsibility of the manager to make sure that the successor, the new employee, is equipped with all the knowledge that he or she needs. And I normally recommend the manager to do a short follow-up meeting 5 to 6 weeks after the knowledge transfer sessions have been implemented, and then even 3 months after the new employee, the successor, has started, to do a follow-up and discuss, do you still have knowledge areas, things that are not clear, and how can we make sure that you have the knowledge that you need. Now, I invite you to reflect on the following questions to assess where you and your organization stand when it comes to knowledge transfer, knowledge debriefing when staff rotates or leaves. Reflect on your own or with your colleagues or the team, what is already done in our organization to capture knowledge from rotating, leaving staff. And if you are a team leader or in a management position, do a very quick knowledge loss risk assessment for your team. This means that you answer the following questions for your team and the colleagues that compose your team. Is there any person in your team that carries very critical knowledge and has a high risk to leave? How high do you rate the risk that this person could leave? And what is the very critical knowledge and how could you capture it and or transfer it to another person? These are just inspirational questions to guide you on the whole topic of critical knowledge and risks of leaving and how you, what is already done in your organization. I normally invite organizations to appreciate what is already there and assess what activities are already implemented when it comes to knowledge management, and then continue from there on to further develop it. So have a look and reflect what is already done on your in your organization to capture and transfer knowledge, and what is there a need for any of your staff or team colleagues that knowledge could be lost. As I said, a knowledge map is one tool to structure knowledge for a certain position. This is one example for a knowledge map. Below the video, you find an example for a knowledge map structure. And I invite you now to develop a knowledge map for your current position. So your position that you at the moment have, and the activities, actions that you do as a person in your current job, that you develop a knowledge map for this position using the structure that I proposed here. Or you can even adapt the structure to your needs if some of the wordings you might find that you use them or adapt them to your organizational context. This is, by the way, something that you should do for any of methods or structures that I proposed here. Find words that suit your organization and your organizational culture. Don't copy the wording knowledge map or expert leaving, expert debriefing just because I mention it here. You could see that e-learning video here as an inspiration, and even go and search for other ways and tools that exist in other organizations and find your suitable procedures and tools and minimum standards as organization. A knowledge transfer plan is really nothing very, very complicated. It's a very simple table where you take specific knowledge areas that result from a knowledge map, and then you discuss and decide on how this can be transferred and who should participate and when will it be done. This is something that the manager needs to take care, and the facilitator can support. I would like to highlight here that the methods of how to transfer are numerous. I will show you just now. And who will participate? Try to think who of your team or organization could also have an interest to listen to the leaving colleague, the leaving expert, this could not only be the successor, the incoming employee. That could also be interesting to, we have a colleague that has actually never listened to our project manager for this specific project. Now she's leaving our team. She will explain what she has learned or done and how she's doing it. So invite other team members also to some debriefing sessions if that is relevant for your team. Knowledge transfer methods. Basically, any knowledge sharing methods or capturing methods can be used there. You could do workshops that are facilitated where you integrate storytelling. Storytelling could be that you ask your the leaving expert, the leaving colleague, that he or she draws a timeline of all the time he or she spent in the organization, marking the most relevant turning points and critical points in this position, and what he or she has learned and what is important. So you could have this historical aspect of storytelling, or you could highlight the story around specific, as the expertise packages or knowledge topics. So be creative and let the leaving expert explain and tell his or her story based on clear questions and structures. You could do video recording of some of the recommendations, or even produce a podcast for a specific activity or project that can be then accessible for a lot of persons, not only the successor. And you could, of course, develop or update written knowledge products and articles and checklists. And some organizations have a lot of success by producing frequently asked questions. You could update that for a certain knowledge area, or even region. If you have regional managers, project managers, you could ask your leaving expert to update or develop frequently asked questions for his or her position or knowledge area, and then use this knowledge product for the successor, but also for the rest of your team members. Now, some success factors from my side, based on my experience, when staff leaves, rotates, it requires timely planning from the line manager and the human resource department or coordinator. So the time factor is crucial for knowledge transfer when staff rotates or leaves. And of course, you need the leaving expert and the incoming expert available. If they are not available, things will become complicated, but you can be creative and find ways to have access to knowledge of the leaving expert, even though he or she is already gone. But that normally should be given. And leaving expert debriefing, staff rotation, and knowledge capturing requires collaboration between human resources, knowledge management, and management. If those three coordinate and work together, then successful knowledge transfer is possible. However, clarify the roles and responsibilities and the facilitation. I have experienced a lot of knowledge transfers where staff members really appreciate the facilitation part and the clear methods like a knowledge map and clarity what is expected from them. And this is why I share with you some examples of those methods. Imagine that one of your team members or colleagues would leave his or her position in 3 months' time. How would you structure the handover, the leaving expert debriefing or knowledge transfer? Who would be involved? And what would be your role? Or what would be a facilitator's role if you would engage one? And think of, reflect with some of your colleagues or even the management, what could be minimum requirements or standards for leaving expert debriefings, knowledge transfer within your organization, and which documents or process should have those requirements integrated. Think of existing processes before you start to develop new ones. Human resources recruitment normally is established in an organization, and have a look at these procedures and critically discuss with your colleagues or reflect on your own how and where you could integrate some minimum standards for knowledge transfer and knowledge debriefing. Thank you very much for your attention. I wish you, well, a lot of success with capturing your knowledge of your staff members, your colleagues, and when there is rotation or leaving of staff necessary, I hope I could inspire you and share with you some procedures and tools that can make your life easier as a manager or even as an expert that is leaving or rotating him or herself. If you need facilitation or further inspiration on this topic, on knowledge transfer, then contact me. You can click on this QR code here to do a self-learning test, a checkup on the information and knowledge that I've shared with you, and if that is has been understood by yourself. And if you need further information, then you can check Venro's trainings if there is offers on the topic that you're interested in. And you can also have a look at the other e-learning videos on knowledge management. We have one on experience capitalization in projects, and of course, the basics training that I've already mentioned. All the best and goodbye.